right, let's move on to the next module. This is pretty short and a very simple concept, but it's very widely used in computer vision, not just computer vision, like a lot of other areas in machine learning. And this is called histogram. And I only have like few slides to explain this. So let's say you have this image shown on the left. Then what's going to happen here is, you know that you have like certain set of pixels in this image, right? And each pixel has a grayscale value. Now, what histogram means is, first of all, this operates on the range of this image. Range means like, what are the values of these pixels? And what histogram represents is, it will just count how many times a grayscale value is occurring in this image. Okay, so that's a very simple definition of a histogram. Let me try to explain this using this example. So this histogram over here is like example, let's say coming from this image, and the x-axis over here, it starts from 0, which is kind of pure black, and you move towards the right, which is like pure white, which means that if you know the numbers, this indicates 0, and you will increase that number, and it's going all the way up to 255. Okay. Now, what this histogram is showing is how many pixels you have with value 0 in this image. And that's the number here represented by the y-axis. So y-axis is just giving you the count of pixels for each grayscale value. Okay, and that's it. That's called a histogram. There are a few important properties of histogram which are really, I think, important to understand. First of all, how you define this x-axis. And this is called kind of bins. So what basically you can have is, you can just have 2 bins in your histogram. And for example, let's say for grayscale image, what you can do is, if you create 2 bins, you will have to divide your range into 2 different segments. In this case, the range is 0 to 256. So you will divide it like from 0 to, let's say, 128, and then 128 to 256. So then that will have just 2 bins. And what's going to happen is, you will count all the pixels which have values between 0 to 128. That will be like one huge plot, or you can say like a bar. And the second bar will be how many pixels have values between 128 and 256. That's going to be a second bar. Okay, so if you think about this is kind of discretization of your range, and you can go like finer. The best you can do is, you can have 256 different bins. For each grayscale value, you can count like how many pixels you have. All right, so that's kind of variation you can have in your histograms. And by just visualizing this, you can say that, okay, you have a lot of pixels which are actually in this range, and very few pixels which are pure white, right? Because it's quite small number here, and this is pretty huge. And then this is kind of showing all the variation. So this is perfect gray color. You can see, okay, they are kind of there, but not like a lot. But again, a lot of black pixels, right, which are kind of darker. So that's what a histogram is. And as I said, it's a pretty simple concept. Let's like look at one more example, and then we'll move to the next topic. So this is the input image, and I'm just showing like 2 different patches from the same image. So this is patch 1, and this is the second patch over here. So for this particular patch, this is the histogram, and you can see that very bright pixels, we don't have a lot. Okay, most of the pixels are in this range, and most probably these are coming from the face. All right, and again, we have like some dark pixels which might be coming from the hair over here. Okay, and again, we don't have like completely dark pixels here. So this kind of shows you the variation of pixels or pixel colors or pixel intensities in this particular patch. In contrary, if you look at this patch, in this case, even without looking at this histogram, you can say that, okay, either most of the pixels are like completely white, or most of them are like very dark, right? And the histogram clearly shows you that. It shows you like all these pixels are close to white, right? These are corresponding to this white patch here. And you can see that nothing is gray. And these two peaks here corresponds to, I think the first one corresponds to the darker region here. And this corresponds to the darker region on the top. And you can see even with human eye, we can see the distinction, right, of these colors. And that's why we have these two different peaks. So this kind of help you in analyzing the image and extracting meaningful properties